Good evening to you and welcome to Idea TV News at 9. I am Cynthia Bazi. We begin with the headlines. Ambassador Mills concludes tenure as U.S. envoy to Nigeria. OGUN court adjourns trial of Anthony Joshua's driver to February 25th. Niger student commits suicide after losing 600,000 to betting. Burkina Faso launches 3.5 billion CFA National Digital Infrastructure Center. And away from Africa, UK approves plans for large Chinese embassy in London. In business, CBN forecasts economic growth, disinflation through reforms. And in sports, Senegal team returns home, presents AFCON trophy to president. And now the news in full. U.S. Ambassador to Nigeria, Richard Mills, has officially completed his assignment, marking his final day at the U.S. mission after about 18 months in office. The U.S. mission announced his departure in a post on X on Tuesday. During his tenure, Mills focused on strengthening diplomatic, economic, and security cooperation between the United States and Nigeria, with emphasis on trade, investment, and regional security initiatives. Following his exit, Deputy Chief of Mission Keith Heffen has assumed office as charge d'affaires ad interim and will lead the U.S. mission until a new ambassador is appointed. An Ogun State Magistrate Court in Shagamu has adjourned the trial of Adeniyi Kayode, the driver involved in the crash that killed two close friends of Nigerian-born boxing star Anthony Joshua, to the 25th of February this year. The adjournment followed a request by prosecutors who said they needed time to submit the case filed to the State Attorney General for legal advice. Prosecuting counsel told the court that only 3 or 4 witnesses were present and that duplicating the case file was necessary. Defense counsel objected, arguing the prosecution had sufficient time, but the magistrate ruled that the delay was in the interest of justice. The case stems from a December 29, 2025 accident on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway where Kayode's Lexus SUV hit a stationary truck, killing Lateef Ayodele and Sina Gami. Kayode faces multiple charges, including dangerous driving and driving without a valid license, and was earlier granted 5 million naira bail. And now, a 300-level computer science student at Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida University, Lapa, Niger State, Kelvin Danlami, has reportedly taken his own life after losing 600,000 naira in gambling. The money entrusted to him for house rent was allegedly spent on betting. Danlami's body was discovered hanging from the ceiling of his room by a neighbor who alerted authorities. He was rushed to General Hospital Lapai, where he was pronounced dead. Niger State Police confirmed the incident, stating investigations are ongoing to determine the exact circumstances. The University Students' Union government described the incident as tragic. Fellow students said the case highlights the dangers of gambling and mismanagement of entrusted funds among youths. Moving ahead, Burkina Faso has begun construction of a National Digital Infrastructure Supervision Center with a budget of 3.5 billion CFA, that is $5.4 million. The 5-story facility scheduled for completion in October 2026 will oversee cybersecurity, data centers, and protection of critical state digital systems, strengthening the country's digital sovereignty and resilience. The project is part of a broader push to expand fiber networks, nationwide mobile coverage, and digital transformation initiatives. Key goals include zero unprotected critical infrastructure, local data hosting under zero data abroad, and connecting all government facilities. Plans also feature Tier 3 data centers, a sovereign cloud, and 5G and satellite coverage for rural areas. Despite these ambitions, structural challenges remain. Burkina Faso ranks 175th of 193 countries on the UN E-Government Development Index, with limited internet penetration at 17% and 46% 4G coverage. Cybersecurity shows gaps in technical capacity despite strong legal and organizational frameworks, highlighting the need for continued investment to meet national and regional digital goals. We'll go on a quick break now. The news continues when we return.
(5G) technology. 5G technology promises to be a game changer by delivering ultra-fast internet speeds, low latency, and the ability to connect millions of devices seamlessly. It's going to fuel the future of smart cities, autonomous vehicles, and IoT devices, allowing them to communicate in real time. However, 5G rollout isn't without hurdles. High costs of infrastructure and regulatory issues in some regions have slowed down implementation. By 2026, the 5G market is expected to be valued at $667.90 billion, with the US, China, and South Korea leading the change. The challenge? Cybersecurity risks and data privacy will remain top concerns as more devices become connected.
Welcome back. If you're just joining, this is Idea TV News at 9. Now the rest of the news. Away from Africa, the UK government has approved plans for a massive new Chinese embassy at Royal Mint Court near the Tower of London, ending years of debate over potential security risk. Housing Secretary Steve Reed said the decision is final unless challenged in court. Authorities emphasized that national security was the top priority, with intelligence agencies involved throughout the approval process. The site, purchased by China in 2018 for £255 million, had faced scrutiny over its location, size and design. The move has sparked political backlash. Shadow Communities Secretary James cleverly called it a disgraceful act of cowardice, while the Liberal Democrat labelled its Labour leader Keir Starmer's biggest mistake yet. And now in business news, Nigeria's economy is showing early signs of stabilization, with the Central Bank of Nigeria projecting GDP growth of 4.49% and average inflation of 12.94% in 2026. The Apex Bank expects external reserves to rise to $51.4 billion, driven by structural and monetary reforms, higher oil productions, fiscal restructuring, and improved market discipline. CBN Governor Olayemi Cardoso highlighted the policy transparency and targeted interventions are restoring credibility and confidence in the economy. The CBN's reforms include foreign exchange improvements, non-oil export support, and easing monetary conditions to reduce lending costs. Inflation has fallen from 34.6% in November 2024 to 14.5% in November 2025, marking sustained disinflation. Analysts note that rising reserves will enhance the bank's ability to stabilize the naira and support investment and consumption, while the current account surplus is projected at $18.81 billion in 2026. Despite positive indicators, economists warn that translating reforms into real improvements for citizens remains a challenge. Poverty, food insecurity, and infrastructure gaps persist, and experts stress that sustained macroeconomic stability, deeper structural reforms, and strategic investment in human capital are essential to ensure growth delivers intangible benefits, including job creation, income growth, and improved social welfare. And finally, in sports news, Senegal's national football team, the Lions of Teranga, received a hero's welcome upon returning home after winning the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations. Players and coaching staff were greeted by supporters, officials, and photographers at the airport, proudly wearing their gold medals and national colors. The team later presented the AFCON trophy to President Bassirou Faye, celebrating Senegal's second continental title. Their victory, secured after a 1-0 extra-time win over host Morocco, has been hailed as a moment of national pride and unity, marking one of the country's most significant football milestones. Fans and officials celebrated the champions' return, highlighting the team's achievement as a symbol of perseverance and national identity. The victory has inspired widespread joy and recognition across Senegal, reinforcing the country's prominence in African football. And that's all we have for you on Idea TV News at 9. But before we go, here is a recap of the headlines. We brought to you news that Ambassador Mills concludes tenure as U.S. envoy to Nigeria. An OGUN court adjourns trial of Anthony Joshua's driver to February 25th. Niger students commit suicide after losing 600,000 naira to betting. Burkina Faso launches 3.5 billion CFA National Digital Infrastructure Center. Away from Africa, UK approves plans for large Chinese embassy in London. And in business, CBN forecasts economic growth, disinflation through reforms. Finally, in sports, Senegal team returns home, presents AFCON trophy to president. Now, do not forget to follow us across all our social media platforms at IDEA Television. I am Cynthia Bassi. Thank you for watching.